All right. Well, welcome everybody to the Mendoza College of Business MSBA Career Development Overview webinar. I am Stephanie Brown. I'm the Associate Director of Admission for our MSBA program, and joined by my colleague Lindsay McIntyre. We're going to go into, I just kind of skipped right over the slides. So we're going to go in. Lindsay, I'm going to let you do the introductions. You're the
Introduction.
star of our show today. Whoop.
Yay.
And then I just passed by. There you go.
Yes. So welcome everyone. I always love these. I was just telling Steph, it's been a bit of a rough start to the year for me. I've been sick a little bit for what seems like weeks. I started teaching. There's been crazy weather and coming into tonight, I was just feeling a little down, but these webinars always lift me up and remind me why I love doing what I do when I get to see where everyone's from and just the excitement of the beginning of a new adventure with the MSBA program. So I am the career coach for this program. I've been the career coach, similar to Stephanie, since the inception of this program. We're in our 5th year, which is so hard to believe. The first year was 2020, which was the COVID year. Felt like there were 3 to 4 years of COVID, and then last year was just a whole crazy thing with the tech firms and all of the layoffs and things like that. We feel like we're trying to rebound. Anyway, I say all that to say I'm a career coach. I've been at Notre Dame in total about 14 and a half years. I spent the first 9 years in budget and finance for the Central Office of Budget and Financial Planning, but then I also did it for the College of Engineering. And then I did some research and analysis for corporate and foundation relations and development before I took a little time off. So I share my family here. I live about an hour south of South Bend of Notre Dame, so I have quite the commute. My family is all very much embedded in the local community that I grew up in, very small, and I'm obviously close to my family. My daughter is now a freshman in college, so it's been a really kind of surreal moment to be working with college students and then also knowing I have a child that's out there with people also helping her along the way. So it makes my job even more meaningful just because I know the importance as a mom to have people taking care of your kids. My son on the right, I've been married to my husband for, 21 years, I think now. We were high school. My son is a sophomore in high school, and obviously I'm getting ready or feel like I'm getting closer and closer to the empty nest phase, which as a mom isn't fun. So I have my 2 dogs, Gipper and Eddie, and they are just a source of joy in my life. I love animals and I love play. My dogs are like members of my family. So if you have virtual appointments with me, chances are they will make an appearance. Not tonight, they're in their cage, but anyway, as you can tell, I'm close to my family and I love what I do, and it's just a great pleasure to be here with all of you.
All right, thank you. And I'm also getting over something. So if I'm clearing my throat, I apologize.
Everybody is getting over something, it seems.
Yes. All right. I'm just going to skim past this. I think most of these people know who I am by now. But just for the sake, I'm missing a photo, I think.
You have more
There's a
than one
full
cat,
cat
right?
photo that's missing. I have 2 cats, not 2 dogs, and they might actually make an appearance tonight. So that's all I'm going to say about this page. But you know me, I'm Stephanie Brown, Associate Director of Admission and lead recruiter for the MSBA program. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you through the admission process. There's a lot of folks that I have met with and do know very well on the call today. And so I'm just excited that you all get to meet Lindsay today because she's part of our MSBA dream team. And this really makes things happen as you're transitioning out of the program and then into those many, many, many years beyond the program too. So I'm excited to have you meet her today. But Lindsay, I want you to know a little bit about who you're on the call with today.
Yes.
So while I find the cursor on my screen here, there we go. Whoops. Well, before you get into this, I'm going to have everyone. So if you are on the call and you have been admitted to the MSBA already, raise your hand and we'll see how many hands raised we get because I know there's a lot of you. Don't be shy. Let's see. We've got many. Do you see that? Are
4.
you seeing the hands raised?
Uh-huh. Up to 6, looks like 7.
Told you I recognize a
So,
lot of names. Okay.
yay.
Wonderful.
I recognize some names too. I think maybe I've met with
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Yeah.
her.
Okay. Fantastic. You can, did you have something to say, Lindsay?
I was just gonna say, yeah, and by the way, I am behind. So I was out for the Christmas holiday and then I was out for about a week sick. And then I started teaching. So I've been inundated with current students. I
Mhm.
am behind on some of my emails. So if you have an outstanding email from me, I promise you I will get to it. I have a bunch of starred emails I still need to get to.
Mhm.
And as I'm saying all that, if you have follow-up questions, because I do go through things fairly quickly and there's a lot of information. I'm always happy to respond to any requests that you have, any information that you need, I can provide. Send me an email. I can also willing to set up an introductory appointment just so
Mhm.
you can get any of your questions answered. And just if there's anything outstanding that's kind of you want to know about the program, I love to meet all of you and share information. So
Okay. Very good. Thank you for that. All right. Next group, if you have applied in round two and you're anxiously awaiting a decision, raise your hand because I'm sure there are names that I've seen. See, I knew it.
what's going on?
I
Yeah,
know my applicants. I probably
you
read your
do.
applications this week. I read 50 applications over the weekend. That's working on the weekend. Yes, that's how much you
Mhm.
mean to me. All right.
All of us.
Yes. All right. Good group there. Okay. Who's here? You're exploring. You haven't applied yet. You don't have an admission decision. You are just checking it out. Is this something you want to apply to? See, seeing, okay, it's going up.
Yeah,
That's good. Oh,
started
we got
in
a
May.
hand, we got a hand raised in the chat too. Wonderful.
That's good.
All right. So you've got a little bit of every group, Lindsay, that's here tonight. So I hope
Perfect.
that helps a little bit with as you're presenting. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. And so what I want to say before Lindsay gets started is we are our main goal today is to obviously share some great information about our career development services here at Mendoza, but also to answer your questions about our career development services and what to expect in that realm. So we will be checking the Q&A function throughout the webinar. So if you do have a question, please post that in the Q&A section, not the chat. They get lost in the chat, and I would feel so awful if we lost your question in chat and we didn't answer it. So please post in Q&A and we'll be happy to address those as much as we can. I do want to maximize Lindsay's presence here tonight and try to answer all those questions about career focus. So if we have time, I'll try to address some admissions questions if you have them, but I do want to focus on those career questions. Okay, go ahead, Lindsay, take it
All
away.
right. So when you start in this program and you really get to know me, I believe wholeheartedly in really developing the whole person. So it's not just about getting you a job. Mendoza has this mission to grow the good in business, and it's more than just business growth. So it's really about personal growth that then translates into business growth and ultimately into societal growth because we're all part of something much bigger than ourselves. And so on our website, it says this is not an era for business as usual. Too much is at stake in our world, in our workplaces, in our communities. So this is an era for virtuous individuals with diverse interests and uncommon potential to lead human enterprises forward. And this is an era for a business degree that gives those purpose-driven leaders the tools to connect their gifts to a better future for all. So I'll talk a little bit about it in a minute, but I really do want my students and all MSBA and all specialized master's students to connect with who you are as a person and what your strengths are, and then be able to, if you hit the little button, find clarity. There should be a yay, I love that picture. Find clarity in sort of what you enjoy doing, what sorts of things you're passionate about, what sorts of things maybe you have. I call them blisters that you go back to over and over. It's not things that you I shouldn't say you don't enjoy it, but things that you just won't give up on, right? What are those things that you really, really love to do, and how can we connect who you are with the things that you enjoy in order to send you out into the marketplace ready to contribute. So with that, why hire Notre Dame grads? We have met with recruiters, we have recruiting relationships and partners, and there are three characteristics that continue to come back over and over that really set the Notre Dame brand apart, and it's self-awareness, leadership, I believe, and teamwork. So these are three aspects that our undergraduates have about 4 years, obviously, to kind of obtain or get embedded or embed these characteristics into who they are professionally, but you're only here for 10 months. So all of our curriculum and everything that we do is designed to help you increase self-awareness, develop your leadership skills. And by leadership, I don't just mean managing people. I mean leading from where you are, owning your strengths and being leads on the teams that you're serving on from wherever you are, your area of expertise and sort of claiming that, and then teamwork. You're going to work on teams throughout the rest of your life. You may not get along with or enjoy everyone that you work with, but you can find good things about everyone, and you can learn to just make the most of your teams and really advance projects and things at Notre Dame and in your time beyond Notre Dame. So our career development mission is to help students obtain careers that allow them to be their best and have a positive impact on their communities, organizations, communities, and families. It really is holistic. And I think, when COVID hit and everybody was sent home and we kind of our life at work, everything was integrated, people realized that they wanted careers that really they enjoyed, that fit with their families and communities, and just sort of, it's all about the whole person. So I want you to be able to contribute the best of yourself, both in your working environment, but also in your community and your family. I've been teaching this week and last week, so there's a lot that's really fresh in my mind. And one thing that's really stuck out is if I do my job right and you take every bit of information and really apply it in your first job search, and then not just your job, but your professional development, and you hit the ground running, my hope is that you never have to really fight for a job again, that you're just so great at what you do that the opportunities just keep going, right? So if you land that first one and you really contribute and hit the ground running, hopefully the opportunities keep coming. That's the goal. That's the ultimate. So we do that. If you click, there are a few aspects here. Our strategy is to help you increase self-awareness, increase marketplace awareness, and then develop targeted job search strategies. So I like to meet each student where you are, and I always tell students not to compare themselves to others. You're all in different areas with regards to clarity and really what you want. And it's okay if you have no clue. If you're just starting and trying something, I love to work with that too. And in fact, Seth and Sharif, if you haven't met them yet, they prefer that. They would love for every student to come in with a clean slate, just ready to learn and see what opportunities are out there and really go from there. So whether you know exactly what you want to do or you just have no clue and this is a shot in the dark, we can work with you no matter what. And then the services. So dedicated one-on-one coaching. I am the dedicated career coach for our MSBA programs. So that includes your program or the MSBA residential. Are there any sports people here today, Steph, or is this all?
I don't know. There okay. Might be. Oh, we're getting some hands raised.
All right. Okay.
So I know of at least programs. One for sure because it's an admitted student, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I coach both programs. Now, I will say that the programs themselves are a little bit different with regards to the timing of the curriculum, and I'll talk about that in a minute when I get into that, just because of the way that the programs are structured. But I coach all of the MSBA students. I provide career courses and workshops depending on what the needs are, and then we are in the process of really fleshing out our employer engagement strategy. So hopefully we'll have more opportunities that are just designated to specialized master's students. Okay, so the customized coaching services that I provide, obviously, job search strategy I mentioned and navigation, resume reviews, cover letter reviews, networking strategies, mock interviews, negotiation. They're very tactical things that I help students work with, or I can help students with. When you've come into the program, we'll automatically start with just reviewing your resume so you have a baseline resume to go through the fall recruiting process. But I should share that fall recruiting, generally students in the MSBA program do not get jobs in fall recruiting. So don't come in with that expectation because it doesn't happen and you're not behind. You'll see in a little bit the numbers. You're not behind if you don't get a job in the fall, just because what you're learning is so technical that most of you won't be ready to pass technical interviews and assessments and case studies even until the spring semester. So all of this coaching is driven by you. There are some students that don't need a lot of my help and guidance. They already have sort of a plan in place, and or maybe an offer that they've accepted from their undergraduate internship, and that's totally fine. There are some students that schedule weekly recurring meetings with me. So I really just let the students lead with however or whatever works for all of you. You set the agenda for the meetings, and you reach out as much or as little as you need, and I'm here for you. So the career course, the Bridge to Success career course, is typically structured in 6 sessions, and our specialized masters team, we follow this LEAD framework. So you take control of your career through the LEAD acronym, which is learn, engage, act, and decide. So if you keep going, I think I've broken this down. So under the learn section, we start in orientation with Clifton's strengths, so you get an idea of what you're really innately strong in, right? Everybody, and the important thing about Clifton's strengths is it's 34 strengths. There are just some in your top 5 or top 10 that you are better or you draw upon. And within those strengths, there's different domains. So there's strategic thinking and influencing and relationship, and then execution. So most of the time you'll kind of fall in 1 or 2 of those areas. And it's important to understand, this is part of the self-awareness piece, just to understand where your strengths are, where your gaps are, and where you might need people around you to help fill in those gaps. So, and also, so that's sort of an orientation, and we pull that through the whole course. When I start the course, one of the very first things I do then is the marketplace overview. So sharing just the different industries and functions that our students have gone into, and then giving a deep dive into the top 3, which continues to be financial services, consulting, and technology. So then in the engage, I'll teach you through how to leverage your strengths, how to build your brand. Today I taught, building the brand, and then translating your key accomplishments into car stories, into just stories basically for networking and interviewing. Will help develop your pitch so that when you get out and have conversations, informational interviews, when you're introducing yourself at career fairs, you'll be able to be ready to pitch yourself. And the pitch is more than just like selling yourself on a specific job. It's really just being able to introduce yourself in a way that articulates where you are in the career search process, and allows for you to have those just nice casual conversations with recruiters and potential colleagues and people that you might be networking with. And then under ACT, this is really the application process. I help you or teach you how to decode job descriptions, and then how to customize your application materials in order to set yourself up for success and really set yourself apart. So we work on cover letters and resumes. I help you with your LinkedIn profile, and then really walk you through interviewing strategies. So mostly behavioral. I'll touch on some case things, give you some resources for technical interviews and things like that. But we work through that. And then finally, the decide component is really an offer negotiation. So the very first year, now granted, it was the COVID year, so offers started coming through in March and the world shut down. So students really couldn't negotiate, and the average salary back then was quite significantly below where it is today. So in year 2, we really started pushing the negotiation, and the salary drastically increased. So we are anywhere from, I think, $75,000 to $85,000 in average starting salary. And that does not include any commissions, sign-on bonus, moving expenses, anything like that. We have pretty good starting salaries in this program. And I love to help students really take a look and evaluate offers, but then negotiate as well. We have a lot of data too. We have now, by the time this group comes in, we'll have 5 years worth of data, which is exciting.
And Lindsay, I actually get a question often because there is a range of work experience coming into the program. So I often get candidates asking, if that's the average starting salary just across the board, are you able to break it down and pull from the graduates who had work experience coming in and show what
Yeah,
their average salary was?
I have not done that yet, and I think someone asked me that recently, and I tried to pull. And again, I was in the middle of finalizing the 2023 numbers, so they weren't
Mhm.
finalized yet, so I didn't have those data points to add to it. I'll try to see if I can do that. The thing is, we've got to have enough data points in order to be able to share an average. And I don't know, not everybody reports their salary, which is unfortunate. I love to have the information. So if you all come into this program, be ready to report your information. And I'm really pushing it with this year's class as well. I can share that our average range, and there are some significant outliers. Mostly because some countries don't pay as well. There were a couple of fellowships that haven't paid. And so the salary range is anywhere from 20,000 all the way up to 140,000. So the way that I've answered that question in the past, or when I've gotten it and not had maybe the data points, is I would say that anywhere from the salaries that we get that are over 100,000 are people that have had work experience, that have been able to negotiate themselves into more of a mid-level
Mhm.
role rather than entry level, and those salaries tend to be a little bit higher, obviously. And that falls in line with where MSBA Chicago students are as well. And those students
Mhm.
typically have 5+ years of work experience.
And I actually recently saw a figure, an average salary for another top MBA program, and that's higher. That high end was higher than their average MBA graduate salary. So that's good to know. I like that.
We've had a couple of rock stars, and let me just
Mhm.
tell you, when you put in the effort, um, I can probably talk about her, and I there's no sal this isn't tied to any salary data, but I had a student from China a couple of years ago, several years ago, that she actually got deferred during COVID, and that was very frustrating for her. But she spent that year really networking and practicing case and preparing for her time at Notre Dame. She came in, and to date, she is my only student that has received an offer from McKinsey, which is a huge deal. We do have another student or alum now that's at McKinsey, but there were two jobs before, finally getting to McKinsey. But she had really solid offers from McKinsey and JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. And so she was a rock star. She worked so hard, not only in her coursework, but also followed every step of the process. I probably had more coaching appointments. I don't know. There've been a handful that I've had a lot with, but those coaching appointments, she was so driven and coming to me every week or every couple of weeks, however often it was. I don't remember. It's been several years, but she just had everything that she wanted to cover, and those appointments were very productive. And that's the kind of student that really succeeds. And she didn't have a lot of work experience coming in, but she had probably some of the best offers I've seen. So take that for what it's worth. That really, your effort does determine your success, not only in the classroom, but also with regards to your job search.
Mhm. I think, and a lot, like we already saw, a lot of folks on the call already have admission offers to this program. They're just anxiously waiting for August or June to roll around. And those are things they can be doing in that meantime as
Absolutely.
well to
Yes.
prepare ahead of time. The case prep and,
Mm-hmm.
interviewing skills and resume cover letters, all of those things.
Yeah, if you are someone that is already admitted, and I don't know, Steph, when you get when they get their email address, like their net IDs and their ND email.
That's yeah, I think a lot of the folks around the call should already be at that stage.
So
Yeah,
if you
yes,
have that,
correct.
then you can have access to Management Consultant, which is a tool with a ton of case resources, and you can start that prep now. And then there's workshops in the summer that we provide information for, that help you, because the consulting, I will say, students in this program historically have gotten consulting offers in the spring semester, but there is a heavy push for consulting in the fall, and the timeline has gotten a little bit earlier because consulting has been hit by the job market lately. So the earlier you can start preparing, if consulting is what you want to do, the earlier you can start preparing for that, the better. It is kind of hard because this program is an August start, and by then some of the deadlines have already passed. Some of the initial deadlines. Now, some of those companies will continue to have rolling deadlines, but if you want to get in on the early front, then it's good to start now and be prepared for that.
There is just a quick related question in here. They're asking about the percentage of incoming MSBA students who are recent undergraduate students with no work experience. Usually about 70 to 75% of each cohort is going to be in that pool, just finishing undergrad and then coming into this program as a fifth year.
Mm-hmm.
All righty, moving on.
Oh. All right, so I mentioned your effort determines your success. Be honest with yourself and open to feedback. I can't emphasize that enough. I can't help you if you're not willing to help yourself, and I need to be able to be honest with you, and I need you to be honest with me. So for instance, one of the things that I share, I get a lot of students that come in early on and there's all this buzz about consulting and everyone decides they want to go into consulting. I will tell you that McKinsey, Bain, BCG, the Big Four, they won't hire someone or even consider you unless they're confident they could put you in front of a client on day one. So if communication is not your thing, if you are not comfortable and confident in front of a client on day one, and if you're, if sort of that sales mentality isn't something that you're comfortable with, consulting may not be for you. If you hate doing the case prep, if you don't enjoy, there's a lot of work involved with case prep. The more cases you do, the more, I think the person that I mentioned that had an offer from McKinsey, I feel like she did anywhere between 30 and 50 cases in preparation. And so she was really prepared. And if that's not something that excites you and that you enjoy, then consulting probably isn't for you. So I need you to be honest with yourself, but then, honest with me and allow me to speak truth into you. And we'll work with, there's a lot of different opportunities and data analytics crosses all industries and functions, and it's a really hot field. So don't be discouraged if consulting is something that you hear a lot about and you feel like you should be doing it, but it's not maybe what you enjoy. The worst thing that you can do is get into a role and realize, oh my gosh, this is a mistake and I want something different. So the more work you can do sort of on that front end to prepare yourself for a process, the better it will be. And then be willing to support each other. I can't emphasize this enough. It's not a competition. I get why students feel that way, but truthfully, you are all unique. You are all different. And the students that really are willing to help each other and support each other really succeed more than others. So take that for what it's worth. Okay. So employer engagement opportunities, I mentioned the fall semester career fair happens almost as soon as you get here. So it's really, you only have a couple of weeks. We do a workshop so we can help you prepare to introduce yourself. It's just a great way to get out and practice introducing yourself, pitching yourself, see what's out there. I always tell students, don't go into this expecting a job. Just go in like getting your feet wet, get some experience, build your confidence, talk to people that you aren't really interested in just to get that confidence and practice those skills. The spring semester career fair is getting ready to happen next week. That's one that I want all students to go into, full force, be ready to look at the opportunities, be ready to consider opportunities, actively apply. You should be ready by this point to pitch yourself a little bit more. You've had a semester and a little bit more of coursework under your belt, so you know what you're good at. You can talk business analytics a little bit more confidently. So January is more of a hit the ground running and jumpstart your job search. And then we do offer a virtual career fair with our specialized masters or Master of Science consortium. So we have a consortium of schools. I can't remember who all is in it. Stephanie, you may remember more than Duke and Wake Forest, and there are others.
Yeah, UT Austin, I think William and Mary, is it UC? It's one of the UC schools. It's not USC, it's UC something.
Yeah. There's a handful of schools that all have similar programs, and we come together with all of our employer partners and put together a virtual career fair for specialized master's students.
Yeah. And I will add too, as someone, I go to the career fairs as well. I'm always looking for potential students for our programs through the undergraduate group that's there. But I will say that the Mendoza graduate students attending our career fair are the most polished and put together students that I ever see there. Mendoza gives you great tools to present well in that fair and just like present physically well in that fair. You have your fancy name tag with
Mm-hmm.
your name and your logo on it, and you'll have your business cards and you'll have resumes ready, and other students, undergraduate students and so on, they'll be there with a handwritten name tag. They don't have business cards. So you really look the part of a professional when you're there. And hopefully, especially with the spring career fair, hopefully you'll be armed with some really great tools through the Bridge to Success class and through meetings with Lindsay as well. So you'll have great tools to go into those fairs.
Yes. And then other on-campus events, there are a whole variety of company presentations and activities in the fall and the spring. Handshake, for those of you that have used Handshake in your undergraduate experience, we use Handshake and there are constantly new things being posted and published. So check Handshake every single day and make sure you're attending those events because again, if you're not, someone is. So, you're going to miss chances if you're not putting yourself out there and really introducing yourself to recruiters and kind of making a name for yourself in those places, especially the ones that you really are interested in. And then on-campus interviews in the fall and spring. So, and there's other things that may come about. It just every year it depends. So probably the slide that most everybody is excited or wants to know. I just updated this with our 2023 numbers. So this is 4 years worth of data. You can click there. So out of 186 total seeking students with reported information. So not everybody responds to my emails. I feel like I have to share this. I reach out when it gets like this time of year, actually after the class ends, I start to reach out individually on a monthly basis and not everybody responds to me. I get anecdotal information from other students. So I know that most everyone does have a job. It's just not everything gets reported. So please don't be those people. Make sure that you report your information so that I don't have to caveat this every time. I will say it's only a handful of people that don't report their information. So I share that for what it's worth, but 186 seeking students with reported information is what I have to go on with my numbers. Of that, 97.3, so 181 of the 186 have accepted offers within 6 months post-graduation. So our all specialized master's programs are required to report their numbers within 6 months. So you can see the breakdown in this program. 15 of those students came in with offers already that they accepted from maybe previous internships or experiences. They came into the program with an accepted offer. They're really not considered seeking during their time in the program, but for all purposes here, they're still seeking. 24 in the fall semester. So I mentioned the fall is really not when students are getting jobs. Only a handful receive offers in the fall. And of that 24, I don't have exact numbers, but I would imagine that at least half, a large percentage anyway, are students that had an offer from an internship and didn't have to decide until the fall semester, and they got nervous and didn't really want to wait, and so they went ahead and accepted. So probably at least half, if not more, of the 24 can really be bucketed into that pre-matriculation because those offers are from internships. 66 then in the spring, and then 76 are actually post-grad. And this last year blew that out of the water because the job market was really hit last spring. And so we didn't have nearly as many. Normally we have about 55% on average that have offers by graduation. And this last year, I think we were at like 30%. It was really low. So this last year really skewed those numbers, but you can see patience pays off. Some of my I don't have favorites, but ones that I've worked with the most that were really frustrated last year ended up with great offers in October, even November. So know that if you just stay positive and be persistent, it'll pay off eventually. You just have to keep at it. So then 157 out of 181 have accepted offers in the United States. And I will say that I don't let that deter you. I mean, it's still a pretty good percentage, and of the percent that don't have offers, a lot of students panic when graduation hits and they don't have an offer and they feel like they're stuck and nothing's going to work out. They go back to their home country either because they've chosen to do that, because that's something not everybody comes to the United States and loves it. It's not for everyone, believe it or not. And some choose to go back and others choose to go to other countries, and others they panic and choose to, they're not willing to be patient and wait it out. A handful of international students every year that can maintain their status through a part-time job, usually those opportunities will pan out, or they'll have something that eventually pans out for them. And again, I work with those students, and I will work with all of you until you get that first offer. So don't think that when you graduate or when that 6-month number hits or 6-month date hits that I'm done. Like I work with students, and I will continue to work with students until they receive that first offer. So I have put, you can see locations here. We're all over now. I mean, last year we even saw new locations that I hadn't seen before. So we're in all major cities. Obviously, because of Notre Dame's proximity to Chicago and just connection we have a campus in Chicago. Chicago's a really popular place. We have one of the biggest alumni networks in Chicago. And then there's a handful that go to New York, and then from there's other places as well. But if you want more specific information, Notre Dame is a global brand and definitely a pretty strong national brand. So we've got solid alumni networks in every major city and area across the country and really across the world. Is one of the most powerful aspects of the Notre Dame experience is the Notre Dame Alumni Network. So. And then there you can see the average United States or US salary in 2023 was about $80,000. And like I said, on average in general for most students, and of that student population, 75 or 70 to 75 would be, or percent would be entry level, anywhere between 75 and 85,000. Okay. I haven't updated this. I didn't update this with the companies from this year. Our employment report is out, I think, on our website. So you should be able to access this if you want to see the updated list of companies from last year and then the featured employers. But this is a list of employers that have historically hired our graduates and alums, and that list continues to grow. And some of these companies that are over in the others have moved over to the 2+ alumni. And as we continue to graduate students, we'll continue to see more exciting outcomes. So just a list there for your reference. And that's all I have.
And I will add too that the new employment report did get posted today on our website. So it's hot, fresh off the presses. All right. And all of our guests get a lucky experience today, because I forgot to take the fee waiver code off of our slide, because we typically don't put those in our webinars anymore, but you all are lucky and it's there. And so I won't tell anyone. If you want to copy that fee waiver code and you haven't applied yet, you are more than welcome to use that code. It does work. So all right, we typically share those during one-on-one meetings now, but we'll count this as a one-on-one meeting. How about that?
There you go.
All right, let's go ahead and dive into the questions. So one question in here, Lindsay, was just more asking about the job market for seasoned professionals. I won't use their language because I like seasoned professionals more.
Yes. So it's a little bit different for those that have, and there's a couple of different buckets really that have. So when you say seasoned, I'm assuming you mean some number of years of work experience. Is that correct?
Yeah, he just mentioned being a senior citizen, did not mention how many years of experience. And I don't know if that's tongue in cheek or accurate, so I won't So I'm just saying seasoned professional. So I don't know how many years of experience he actually has.
Okay, so I will
Yeah.
say it sort of, I'm guessing. So in some cases, we've had some seasoned professionals that don't have any analytics experience, but they do have a handful of yeah, obviously just life experience. You're probably not going to be going, regardless of your level of analytics knowledge, you're probably not going to be or to want to go into an entry level role where you're working with a bunch of recent graduates in their early to mid 20s and in that space. You've got obviously probably some leadership experience or just life experience to contribute. So handshake will probably not be where you'll spend a lot of your time, although attending those career fairs and attending the on-campus events will help you introduce yourself in order to make connections. Typically, people hiring for MBA students or more seasoned professionals, it's a totally different recruiting team. So networking will be very important for you if you are in that space. Fortunately, we've had an MSBA, the oldest MSBA program is the MSBA Chicago program, which Stephanie, I can't remember. It was it 2016, maybe it was the first year
Oh no,
or earlier than that.
it was much earlier.
Okay.
I want to say it was maybe 2012 or 13. I
Okay.
feel like when I joined Mendoza in 2018, it was already around for
Pretty
5 or
established.
so years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and the good news is Seth and Sharif both teach in that program, so they are familiar. And I mentioned that program because that program is geared more towards seasoned professionals. So I mentioned 5+ years of experience. And in that program, we've had anybody from 5 years of experience to 30+ years of experience. So that's an alumni network within the MSBA program that could help you figure out roles and where those companies are. I've worked with that program since I began here in 2019. So I have a sense, and I've historically tracked the information. It's all what I find on LinkedIn. But because we don't track that information or report that information in the same way that we do our residential programs, but we do have data. And so if I can kind of get the ball rolling or show you some places to focus on based on our MSBA Chicago outcomes.
Right, great. All right. And then another question related to sports analytics. Have you seen any sports analytics opportunities in the South Bend area
Oh,
or
that's a
remote?
great question. Okay, so you're putting me on the spot with sports analytics, and I can say that last year was the first year. There were 16. There were 16 students, five seeking in sports analytics. So I don't even have enough data to share anything with anybody. Um, None of them were in the South Bend area. Most of them last year, of the 16, 15 were athletes, and a lot of those athletes were hoping to go pro or pursuing professional careers. Even some of them that were speaking students were also pursuing their professional careers. So nothing from that program is in the South Bend region. I haven't seen anything. We've got a lot of sports outcomes actually on the MSBA residential side, and I've not seen anything locally that I am aware of off the top of my head. There have been like Chicago Blackhawks,
Mhm.
um, Cincinnati Reds. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's been close.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean, I mean, South Bend has the South Bend Cubs. There's opportunities even within Notre Dame potentially. So it's not to say that there aren't opportunities out there, and it remains to be seen. This year's MSBA sports program has, I think, 35 students, and
Yeah.
quite possible that that group will graduate someone that stays local in the sports area. So,
Yeah. And that, yeah, the MSBA Sports Analytics program is new. Like Lindsay said, last year was the very first class. It was primarily student athletes, but as it is growing, we're at just about where we want to be with that class size wise. There's 40 seats in the class. That's where we want to be. Yeah, we have about 35 students there now, but just a little over half of those students are not student athletes now, and they are simply students who are excited about sports analytics, are pursuing careers related to sports analytics in some way. And so I know there will be growth in that area, and we'll start to see more outcomes as we work with that class, because there's a different set of interests there than that first class, a lot of whom did want to go pro.
Mhm.
All right, next question. There's only one other question in here right now, so if anyone has questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A, but I'll answer this one. It is an admissions question. So asking about the video assessment that is a part of the application. So if you're not to that space yet in the application, you actually submit your application before you get an invitation to complete the video assessment. So you'll only get that invitation once your application is submitted. The video assessment is sort of a pre-interview. It's really an opportunity for us to get to know our applicants a little bit more personally. It's sort of an introduction into how you fit into the community, and how you sort of align with our goals, our mission, our ethics here at Notre Dame, just based on the questions that you're asked. And also it's actually another great opportunity for me as a recruiter to assess my applicants, or my international applicants' language skills as well. That's actually a really great piece for me to use, where I can actually waive your TOEFL or IELTS requirement. So that assessment is your friend, because it could mean one less exam you have to take for your application. So I will say, while it is for us, it's a very important piece of the application, because it helps us get to know you more personally, and that is very important to us. It is absolutely not the end all be all to the application. It's just one additional piece that helps us in reviewing you. So it doesn't, I don't want you to feel like that will make or break your progression in going through the rest of the application process, going to the live interviews, or anything beyond that. It's just one additional piece more on the personal side. Okay. So just use it as like, we spent maybe 5 minutes together in a lobby chit-chatting. That's sort of the the environment. That's how much I'm getting to know you through that piece. So very, very personal, not necessarily professional, introduction level only. All right, let's see here. What are the next ones? Lots of admissions questions, Lindsay. I apologize. Is it too late for international students to apply if round 2 is passed? You are welcome to apply in round 3 if you would like, but I need you to understand that decisions will go out on May 10th in round 3. With this program, starting with the traditional MSBA starting in mid-August, and the MSBA Sports Analytics program starting at the beginning of June, it really is too late if you're looking at sports analytics. Okay, that's too late. You're getting a decision May 10th. There's no time to process immigration documents, get you a visa interview, get your visa, and then get here on time for orientation. So sports analytics, it's out of the question at this point. MSBA, the traditional program, could be possible, but please know that even though we work as fast as we cannot guarantee that you will be able to get through the immigration process on time. Students have to be here in person by the start of orientation. Otherwise, they cannot join the program. That is a university policy. So if you're getting your decision on May 10th, it is unfortunately out of our hands. We can certainly process your I-20 document, but you control how quickly we get the information to issue that I-20. Okay, so that's on you to get us the information quickly. After that, it is out of our hands. Once your I-20, digital I-20 is in your hands, we cannot control how quickly you get a visa interview we cannot control how quickly you get your visa and your passport back. After that visa interview, we cannot control how quickly you can get here on a flight. So that's a gamble that you will have to make. Okay. So just know I will happily take your application, but I will also be sad if we can't get here, if you can't get here in time. Okay. All right. Let's see here. How many minutes do we have left? 5 minutes left. Okay, Lindsay, good question for you, and this might be a good one to close out on. So what can students be doing now, admitted students be doing now in order to start preparing for their job search?
Yeah, so I think first of all, start thinking about your resume. If you don't have a resume or an updated resume, and you probably most of you do, start thinking about the things that you've done, the work that, the impact that you've made, and any internships and projects that you've done. And if you haven't been thinking that way up to this point, you've got to start thinking that way. So you have between now and the time that you get here, maybe you have a job or you're working, maybe you have an internship lined up or something like that. Start thinking about how you can hit the ground running when you start something, or what work you can be doing, even within jobs you may already have, that can create impact. So all resume bullets should be structured sort of to begin with an action verb that really gets at an attribute that you want an employer or recruiter to know about you, and then share the action or the accountability. So what you did specifically, and then what was the impact or the result. So start thinking about your work, not just from like, you don't know how it fits into a bigger picture. Figure out how it fits into the bigger picture and how you add value in the work that you're doing, in the group projects that you're doing. Just start to think about, you're always sort of building your resume. Also, you should always be networking. So think about, what opportunities or what sorts of things might you be interested in? What are you can even start by looking on LinkedIn and going to your undergraduate or your undergraduate pages, and looking. You can kind of filter by alumni and where they're working. So what companies are popular for your undergraduate institutions. You can start looking at Notre Dame's website and Mendoza's LinkedIn page to see where Mendoza alumni are working, and if there are people that maybe look interesting to you, or companies that look interesting. Set up informational interviews. Don't hesitate to start reaching out to people to just sort of explore opportunities to see what's out there. I'm trying to think if there's something I'm missing. Obviously, I mentioned the case resources. If that's something that interests you, reach out to me. I can send you that link. I think, yeah, I mean, just know that you're constantly building your professional identity, your personal brand, and setting sort of the foundation here for the next level. So getting to know yourself, your strengths, what you're good at, how you contribute, just trying to increase your self-awareness, and how you kind of come across with others will help you hit the ground running when you come to Notre Dame.
Very good. Thank you. All right, one last question in here, Lindsay, and if you can't, if you're not 100% sure, I can share Brandon's contact info, but question about the Chicago immersion for the sports analytics program. What occurs during that immersion, and then what organizations have we created relationships with?
Yeah, I don't feel 100% comfortable answering that, just because that really is Brandon's sort of thing. I could talk off the top of my head, but I really, when you talk about what relationships have we built and what that looks like, and I don't know, this was the first year we did that, and I don't know what tweaks or what might be made for next year. So that stuff, I would feel more comfortable if Brandon answered that.
Sure. I will share. I'm answering that question. I'm typing the answer for you, Stefan, and I'm typing that with Brandon's email address. It's Brandon Erlacher, MSBA Sports Analytics Academic Director. Okay, so I will share that info. I know there were some Chicago sports teams, but I don't remember all of them. I did hear him talk about this recently, but I'd rather he answer as well. All right. We will go ahead and close it out. I'm trying to talk and type at the same time. Let's see here. Let me send this really fast, that question. Okay. All right. So there was one quick question in the chat. I recommend if you are wanting to talk to students, you want to talk to students about their job search and all of that, we do have a contact a student feature on the MSBA webpage. So I do encourage you to look there. We do have some alums in that feature as well, and then some current students, and you can tell we have information about what their home country is as well. So if you're looking for other international students to speak with, you can certainly talk to them. But and I think LinkedIn is also a great place to find alums of the program as well and talk to them. But and Lindsay, you can weigh in on this too. But I do caution you. Every student, every graduate of our program has a different story and a
Hmm.
different experience. So
Hmm.
where you might talk to someone who struggled a bit in this area, there are others who did not struggle in that same way or have the same experiences.
So
So
true.
please take that with a grain of salt and understand that their experience will not be your
Hmm.
experience. Okay. But they're good. They're great. They're great people to talk to about their experience in the program, the tools that they've gained through career development, and what they learned through the job search, lessons learned. But just know that will not be your specific experience. Okay. All
Okay.
right. All right, I think we're done. We got through all the questions, so we will go ahead and say goodbye. We are right on time. Oh my
All
gosh, this never
right.
happens. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining today. Wonderful questions. And of course, Lindsay, thank you so much for joining. I know it's been busy for you. I really appreciate all of your expertise and guidance for our students that are coming in or even just considering the program. So thank you so much. We will, of
All
course,
right.
host many more webinars. We'll have some sessions with Lindsay joining. We will have a student panel webinar next week, hopefully, if I can get some volunteers. So please join me again. Lots of great info to share. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a great
Thanks,
night, everyone.
everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye. Whoops.